On today's Technobabble, why your church shouldn't do video.
This is Tech No Babble, your weekly source for church video and graphics news, perspectives, tips, and tricks. And now here's your host, Paul Clifford.
Hi everyone, and welcome again to another episode of Technobabble. I, of course, am your host, Paul Allen Clifford, and I'd just love for you to join the conversation. So head on over to trinitydigitalmedia.com/contact, and you can find all my contact information there, and you can join the chat as we delve into these fun topics. So, one thing before we proceed, I'd love to talk to you about churchstreaming.tv. Churchstreaming.tv is my streaming partner, and they just have a great service. In fact, recently, my 40th birthday, which was 2 weeks ago today, I got my Roku app approved, and my numbers have increased dramatically. And I think that this is an area that a lot of churches just haven't gone into yet, and that is the ability to live stream directly to a person's television using a Roku, which is a very inexpensive box. And that's just one of the services provided by churchstreaming.tv. So if you'd like to start your free trial, head over to trinitydigitalmedia.com/churchstreaming, and you can do that right there. Just start your free trial of 1 month. You get a full unlimited account for 1 month, and you can see if that's right for you. And after that month, it's a flat rate price of $99 a month for churches of less than 2,000 people. So that's the vast majority of churches. And there's no surprise at the end of the month. Your bill is $99. Whether you have one person on your stream or 10,000, you've got a flat rate pricing, and that's something that you just can't beat. Also, I'd love to talk about my pastor's book, What Life Are You Waiting For? I seem to have misplaced the cover sample that I have with me. But it is available on Amazon. I've made a short link for you, trinitydigitalmedia.com/whatlifebook, and you can go there, and I'll get a little commission on your pre-order, and you'll be able to get that book, which is phenomenal. Also, I want to thank everyone that used the link trinitydigitalmedia.com/Amazon over the holidays. I got a good amount of traffic, and just a little extra something to help keep trinitydigitalmedia.com and churchtechcast.com running, because right now we're in the lean period of starting up, and so every bit counts. Okay, so without further ado, let's head on into our topic. Why your church shouldn't be using video. Now, you might be thinking, Paul, you're a church video guy. Why? Why are you telling me not to use video? Well, here's the deal. I'm not saying that every church shouldn't use video. I'm saying that there are churches that either are using video, they're contemplating using video, or in the future they will contemplate using video, and these churches should not. Now, that's not most churches, that's just some. And I want you, if you're one of those churches, to know what you're getting yourself into. So, here, let me throw my phone over on my easy chair here in the office and we'll get going. So, you shouldn't use video in your church if you think video will solve all your problems, because it won't. If you've got a church filled with people that think that technology is evil, using video is not going to solve that problem. In fact, it's going to make it worse. If you have a group of people that wish that church would be just like it was in 1950, using video ain't going to solve that problem. If you have people that think that all you need to do is use video and then your evangelism will increase exponentially, but you're not willing to do anything else for evangelism, including risking your heart and just really putting yourself out there, video isn't going to solve your problem. So video doesn't solve every problem that there is. It does solve some, but just keep in mind that it's not a cure-all, just as doing everything the big churches do isn't a cure-all. There are usually things behind the scenes, there are systemic things that are in place first before you can get the results that they get. So, if you think it's easy to do video well, I've been doing video for, well, it's 2014, so I started in 2000, so about 14 or 15 years. And I still find challenges that I have to overcome after all that time. And while there were some times when I wasn't doing it professionally in that time, I pretty much have done video, at least in a volunteer capacity, for that entire time. So at least once a week I was touching something video oriented for all that time. And there are still challenges to overcome. And we've got a much bigger budget than we did back then at my church. And there are still challenges to overcome. So that's something that I want you to consider, is it's not necessarily an easy thing. Now, you can get pretty good results fairly easily, but there are problems that will come up. So don't just think, oh yeah, no big deal, we buy a camcorder, we're golden. No, it's not that easy. That people will get as much out of it if you do it quickly. That's also another mistake. You see, when you do something really quickly, you tend to make mistakes. When you tend to make mistakes, people tend to notice those mistakes. So that's something that you should be careful of. Video isn't a quick art. It takes a good amount of time. So a 10-minute video, you're probably talking at least an hour's worth of work, bare minimum, to get a 10-minute video done, unless it's done like this show is, live to hard drive, where I'm doing some switching and, oops, sorry about that. I'm doing some switching and some other things to make it work fairly easily. Still, there are going to be some challenges. So keep that in mind as well. So next, I say keep that in mind as well a lot. I've got to work on that. So next, thinking that you can do just as well with a cheap set of gear as with pro stuff. I've seen this happen over and over again. People will say, oh, well, you don't need to pay $10,000 for that. I could do it for $500. While it's true that someone who's really good at something can do a lot with a little, television stations would not pay millions of dollars for their equipment if they didn't have to. They're businesses. but they want to get the best quality they can. So they do pay for professional gear because there is a difference. It's not the case that people that pay for professional gear are just stupid. It's kind of like this. Okay, so I was talking to one of my friends, and one of my other friends who's in video. We were talking about how we both wanted a new Mac Pro, and he said, "Well, I think I could probably spend $8,000 or $9,000 on one." And I said, "Oh yeah, I think I could get it up to 10,000 pretty easily." And she looked at me with horror, like, "Why would you ever spend so much money on a computer?" And I said, "Well, actually, if you're doing professional video, which right now I've got more time than money, but if I had more money than time, this would be the case. Every moment you save is saved money. So if you get paid $300 an hour to edit video, and your computer has to crunch on stuff for 2 or 3 hours, that's $600 to $900 just wasted. If you could buy a $5,000 machine and have it do that instantaneously, there's a difference. I think that churches that are very volunteer heavy, they really ought to think, okay, I'm not paying for salaries, I should pay for better equipment, because you're asking your volunteers to spend something that they only have so much of, and that's time. If you really want to do this well and honor them, spend the extra money, because there is a difference. There's a difference between professional quality stuff and consumer stuff. There just is. I wish there wasn't. I wish adding the word broadcast to something didn't automatically raise its price by 1,000, but it does. And sometimes more than that. So that's something that I want you to keep in mind. There, I said it again. Okay. If you're uncomfortable asking people to put in long hours, you probably shouldn't do video. As I mentioned, it takes a long time to do video well. And you might have to put in more time at the beginning or more time at the end. But anyway, either way, video takes some time. So that's something to consider. You don't know why you're doing it. So often, the why behind the what is the thing that just keeps me going. So if I didn't know that why, when I was pulling all-nighters to get videos ready in time for Sunday service, I don't think I could have. I think I would have given up. I think I would have quit. I think there would have been a lot of things that would have caused me to move on, and yeah. And finally, you think your pastor should decide the artistic pieces of the video, like transition. Now, when I say that, there are some pastors that are good at this. If that is your pastor, then this might be an exception. But I've seen leaders that think that they are videographers that aren't. I consulted with a church probably 10 years ago, and the pastor decided what kind of computer they got. The pastor decided what operating system was going on that computer, and the pastor decided what editing software they were going to use. The video people wanted to use a different computer with a different operating system with different software. But the pastor decided. That's a mistake. That's micromanaging. Micromanaging isn't leading someone through a skill or a challenge. Micromanaging is deciding things that are unimportant to the process. Let me rephrase. Deciding things that are important to the process without consulting the people that use them. So deciding, oh, we're going to use this computer when you're not the one using that computer, that's a micromanaging decision. Deciding we're going to use this camera when you're not the one using that camera, that's a decision you shouldn't be making. You should trust your people to make those decisions. So that's also the case when it comes to artistic choices. I don't want to hear, oh, the pastor thought the 3D cube spin was cool. No, that's not the right decision to make. With that said, I want you to follow your pastor really, really well. I just think that there are some decisions that he or she are going to be really good at, and some that they're not. And I want you to make the decisions that they're good. Let them make decisions that they're good at. Now, if they're given to saying things like, "Ooh, let me help you shape that video," try and follow well, but also try and help them learn. Bill Hybels calls it leading up. Help them learn how to do a good job in leading you. One time I actually asked one of my leaders, we're discussing every single decision I have to make on this video, and there are tens of thousands of them, and it just won't be ready. Could you give me an hour alone, and then we can discuss it again? And he did, and I went through and I made probably 1,000 different decisions, and then he came back and questioned 2. That's fine. We can talk about those too. It's the fact that we talked about every single decision that just made it impossible to accomplish the task. So I want you to respectfully and lovingly help your leaders, help them lead you. But I don't want you to think, oh, I'll do everything I can, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. You don't want to be mad or resistant or just make their job hard. But leaders, you don't want to be demanding your way when it's not your area of expertise either. So balance those two out. If you see something glaring, that's fine. Point it out. But leaders, if you are making decisions on things that aren't important, or you're making big deals out of small things, please work on that and don't do that. Okay? I hope that all these things help you to see when you should and shouldn't do video, and they also help you to make the most out of using this great tool, because right now video is one of the best tools we have. Interactive media is coming, immersive media is coming. It will be, eventually you'll be able to walk into a room and be wherever you're going to be, like the holodeck on Star Trek The Next Generation. But until then, the closest we have are videos and films and experiences like that. So right now, this is a hugely powerful tool, and it's a tool that we can use in the church to go out and change eternity, and that's my why. Until next time, I'm Paul Allen Clifford with TrinityDigitalMedia.com.